Deacon, will you please escort Brother Pellman to the east and bring his lovely wife Juanita? Take your time. All right. First, I'm going to ask Brother Secretary, will you please read the Masonic record of Brother Pellman?
Right along. We've got Russ. I didn't know his name was Eugene until just now. So Russ Eugene Pellman. He was initiated on February 19th, 1960 at Masonic Lodge. Passed with a degree of fellowcraft on 7/21/1960. He was raised to Sublime Degree of Master Mason on 9/9/1960, all at Marion Dunn. He became a perpetual member in 9/24/1998. He has his Marine Proficiency Card on April of 1999. He has Orange, Fellowcraft Orange Proficiency Card, which means he does the lecture very well, as I should say, in October 1999. Passed Master Degree on 6/3/2002. Blue Proficiency Card in July of 2006. He affiliated and re-affiliated to Memorial Lodge on January 1, 2009. Again, he got his Blue Proficiency Card on 6/10/2011. He did the Lodge Officer Course 1, 2, and 3 on October 14, 2012. MLT Certification November 5th, 2012. I don't know why it says resigned as secretary in 2013. Again, got his Orange Proficiency Card for the Fellowcraft Lecture in March 2016. He was a committee man for the district chairman in 2002 to 2003. He was a district instructor on May 31st, 2016 to May 30th, 2007. He was a Tyler at Marion Dunn Lodge in 1997, a junior deacon in 1998, senior deacon in 1999, junior warden in 2000, senior warden in 2001, worshipful master in 2002. He was the marshal in 2003. He was his secretary for 3 years, 2011, 2012, and 2013. He's still an active member of the Memorial Lodge. He's a perpetual member of Marion Dunn Lodge. He received his 25-year service pin in September 1985, his 40-year pin in September 2000, 50-year pin in 2010, 55-year pin in 2015, and I remember him saying at that time he will be here for a 60-year pin, which is today. I don't know, that is the reading of his Masonic record.
Thank you, Brother Secretary. You know, it's too bad you didn't have time to get active and be something. Brother Pellman, in recognition of your record as a Master Mason for 60 years, the Grand Lodge of Florida has seen fit to prepare and bestow upon you a gold emblem as a token of this long and faithful service. May it be a never-ending reminder of the gentle craft of Freemasonry that you have loved, and by which this presentation shows its love for you. It is now my happy privilege for, and on behalf of, the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the state of Florida, to present this gold award as a visible symbol of its fraternal love and grateful appreciation. May you have many, many years to wear this emblem in health, happiness, and prosperity. Always with pleasure to yourself, continued honor to the fraternity. And I will let your wife have the honors of pinning this on your lapel. All right. And you have a plaque coming to you that reads, the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of Florida, 60-year certificate from Brother Russ E. Pellman. Whereas a Master Mason, Marion Dunn Lodge number 19 of Ocala, Florida, was raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason on the 9th day of September, AL 5960, AD 1960, and has been active in Masonic service for more than 60 years. Now, therefore, in grateful recognition of his many years of faithful service and his loyalty to Masonry, and pursuant to the order of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of the state of Florida, we do hereby issue this certificate of appreciation. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Grand Lodge to be hereto affixed, dated at dated at Jacksonville, Florida, this 27th day of August, AL 6020, AD 2020, and is attested by the Grand Secretary and Grand Master. Thank you. And that is yours. Thank you. Yes, sir. And it's always customary of our lodge to give you 30 minutes.
Please don't.
Well, it was kind of going through my mind here just momentarily here. Give me this pin after 60 years, wishing me many, many years to wear it in health and happiness. That's kind of a hopeful situation to be in, but that's all right. I'll do my best here. I'll wear that out. This week, happened to have the occasion of my daughter Holly to be over at our house. It was her day off at the bank for a holiday, for Columbus Day, so she could come over at the house. Dad, she said, well, wasn't you supposed to get a 60-year membership here already? And I said, well, I did until I fell on the floor in here, but I said, yeah, it's going to happen, I guess, this coming Thursday. And she says, are you excited? Well, I said, I don't know how excited you can get when you're 94 years old, but I said, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I said, the only thing bothers me, I said, generally they expect you to get up and say something. And I said, I got to tell you the truth. I don't have a clue what I would say. She says, well, it's real simple, Dad. Just start from the beginning. I said, oh, I can do that. In the beginning, I created heaven and earth. She says, Dad, you can't say something like that. That's dumb to say something like that. Well, on the other hand, she says, as old as you are, she says, you might have been in there helping on the 3rd or 4th day that it was being created. So that's what I put up with her on my home. I'll get a little serious here for a moment. And I do have to say that it's been a fast 60 years of being a member of this lodge. But I can still remember vividly when I became an entered apprentice Mason and then a Master Mason, of course, that I said to myself a number of times, I'm thankful that the good Lord gave me enough common sense to become a member of the greatest fraternity in the world. And I sincerely believe that. I've had the occasion through the years to do quite a bit of traveling. My first wife and I done a lot of traveling, and I always tried to make it a point, if I could, find a Masonic Lodge someplace and see if I can get in, sit with the brothers. And I've done that from all the way from Hawaii to Alaska to all around Florida here. And we wandered over to Germany one day, and I ended up sitting in a lodge with some German brothers over there. And I'll finish with a little story here about that, and then I'm gonna get out of your hair and sit down for the rest of the evening. My wife and I had just returned from Germany, and I had a German relative that was a member of a lodge there, and he knew that I was a Mason, and so he invited me to come to their lodge that evening. Needless to say, I didn't speak enough German at that time that I could get too much out of it, but they don't do too much either. They read everything. They don't have to memorize anything. But we had a great evening. And we got home, if I recall, maybe like on a Thursday or Friday when we returned home. And at the same time, our oldest daughter, Sherry, happened to be in Tennessee, she and her husband, and they were looking around to buy some property up there. And she was insistent on Mom and Dad coming up to Tennessee to see what they were doing. So we hooked onto the fifth wheel and went to Tennessee. We got up there, I think maybe on a Saturday, and they had the place all fixed up in the campground for us to go to, and they'd already paid for it and everything. And so as they were showing us around the community there, my son-in-law, H.L., he says, Dad, he says, they got a small Masonic Lodge here in Baileyton. I said, really? Baileyton, I don't think is even as big as Anthony up here. And I was kind of surprised about that. He says, yeah, he says, as a matter of fact, I was talking to some of the men the other day. I told them, one of these days I'll get around to come over and visit with you. So him and I planned together then to go on a Monday night to the lodge. Well, as it turned out, he was getting they had already bought their property up there, and he was getting about 20 or 30 truckloads of crushed rock to be brought in for his driveway. And as it turned out, the guy called him, he said, I'm coming over there with it about 4 o'clock, and he says, it's going to take us till dark to get it done. And he says, Dad, you go ahead and go to the lodge, and he says, I'll go another time. So I went over and walked into the lodge, and I see some men sitting at the end of the hallway about as far as from over to our senior warden there. One of them jumped up and come running down the hallway, and howdy, neighbor, can I help you? And I said to myself, I'm in Tennessee. I said, well, I hope so. I said, I thought that I could stop in and see if I could sit with my brothers in Tennessee tonight. Yes, come on in. He said, sit down here. So we both sat down on a bench, and he said, where y'all from? You live around here? I said, no, I happen to be from Florida. Florida? I said, yeah, Florida, just below Georgia here. Ain't never been there. I said, well, you need to take a weekend off one day and come on down. I said, you can leave here in the morning and you can have supper in Florida, go to the beach for a day. And I said, come back home, you'll be back home on Monday morning. No, I've never been there. Been over to North Carolina one time, but that's all as far as I've ever been. Finally, he says, if you're from Florida, he says, when you're out traveling around like this, he said, do you go to these Mason places? I assumed he was talking about Masonic Lodge. I said, yes, I try to. He says, how do you get into them? I said, just like I did here. Walk up and open the door and walk in. I said, generally, senior deacon is waiting for you. He said, I've often thought about that. And he says, and so you when you're traveling around, he says, how many lodges have you been to? I said, well, I don't really know. I don't count them, but I said, I've been to lodges in Hawaii and Alaska and California, and I said, all over Florida, and I said, just wherever I happen to be. He says, I says, as a matter of fact, I says, my wife and I just came home from Germany, and I was sitting in the lodge with my brothers over there. Y'all was in Germany? He says, you have to fly there, don't you? And I said, yeah, you just fly or swim, one of the two. Well, he's so excited about that, he just couldn't get over this. He gave me the impression that when I said I'd been in Alaska or Hawaii, that I'd been on Saturn and the planet Pluto and Mars and around. He was just absolutely fascinated by the fact that somebody wasn't always in Tennessee. So he said, I got to see the worshipful master. And so he disappeared. And he said, y'all go on in and sit in the room, in the lodge room. Never was investigated. They never bothered to investigate me. So I came to the lodge room, and 4 or 5 guys come up and introduced themselves, and we shook hands. And pretty soon the worshipful master was up there, and he brought the lodge to attention. He started, the first thing he said to the senior deacon, he says, Brother Senior Deacon, I understand we got a visitor here. Yes, sir, worshipful master. And he had taken my name down. He says, this is Brother Russ, P-O-E-H. I stood up and I said, worshipful master, I'll help the senior deacon out a little bit. My name is Russ Pellman. I said, I live in Ocala, Florida. I belong to Marion Dunn Lodge number 19. I said, on behalf of the worshipful master and the brothers, I bring you greetings, and if any of y'all are ever in Florida, we'd welcome you to come and visit us in Lodge. Well, the worshipful master, I guess the senior deacon had told him about my trip to Germany, and he was kind of hung up on that. The first thing he said, Brother P-O-E-H. Oh, he says, brother, he says, tell us about the trip you made over there to Germany. He says, is it different over there than it is here? You have to kind of listen close, because otherwise you're going to miss some of their dialect. I stood there a moment and I said, well, worshipful master, when I think about it, I said, it was just a week ago tonight that I was sitting in Lodge in Germany with my brothers. And I says, it kind of comes to my mind that this is the only second non-English speaking lodge I've ever been in. And them brothers just erupted. They got a good laugh out of it. We had a good time that evening. But this is part of what I've enjoyed about Masonry. There's a lot of hard work that goes along with the lodge and all that, but there's times you can just have a great time and welcome people to come to your own lodge and visit around the world. And as a matter of fact, my honorary membership with the lodge in Ingolstadt, Germany, I just got a letter about a week ago from the new master of the lodge, and he sent me a new face mask. And I looked on it and opened it up, and it says in German, Schau dich. I read it the second time, Schau dich. Look around you. I thought, I'm trying to understand what are they trying to tell me in this. After I got looking, I read the whole letter then. Schau dich, look around you, because you can always find someone. First, take care of yourself. Second, look around you. You'll find somebody who needs help. And as a Mason, do your very best to help him. And I hope that I have, in my conduct through the years, I hope that I've lived up to that plateau maybe in Masonry and in my life. And with that, I'll bid you all good evening, and I hope that the good Lord blesses each of you.